YouTube!
Hi everyone!
I'm Rosie.
I'm Kate.
And we are going to do a challenge which is called Eat Like a Parisian, where we're going to eat like Parisian women for an entire month to see if it actually helps you to lose weight and feel healthier. So if you want to see exactly what that diet entails, keep watching.
So it's a new year and the same us, but we've decided that we wanted to try to do something a little bit different, maybe get a little bit healthier this year. And so Rosie and I were talking a lot about the different diets out there that we could kind of test. And we decided, since we've been living now combined 14 years in France, we could probably do a French-based diet. So we kind of started talking about the different things that we've noticed, the different ways that Parisian women eat, the things that they do that are different than us, and we've kind of put together a little diet that we're going to try to follow for the next month.
Exactly, because French women don't get fat, right? We know that, you know, obviously French women do get fat. They're human beings, funnily enough, but there is something quite particular about the Parisian, however you say it, way of eating. And it is true that the majority of women here are slim.
Yeah. They
are slim. They're very careful about, you know, how they eat, which we're going to talk through a bit later. And they obviously get results.
Yeah.
So my personal motivation for doing this, basically I went to the gym and they've got this special machine there. I don't know if it's like the best thing or worst thing that's ever happened to me. So you stand on these special scales, you're holding these rods, and it kind of like scans your body and it lets you know what's your bone density, like how much fat you have, like how much fat you have in your arteries, like it's the full analysis.
Wow.
And yeah, actually my body fat percentage in particular had just dipped into what, you know, the overweight category. So I was like, it was quite shocking for me. During this month on this diet, my goal is to lose 4 kilos and to really drop in that body fat percentage as well.
I would say my motivation is a little bit different. If you follow any of my journey on my blog, I just recently got married a year ago. And so that was kind of my time where I was really like, oh, I want to kick it in gear. I want to get as healthy as I can, you know, probably more for vain reasons than really for getting healthy on the inside. And this year I'm thinking more about just how can I be a healthier person and live healthier. I just had some changes and some medication I was taking that have had a lot of effects on my skin. And when I talk to doctors, they really talk to me about, well, what are you eating? What's going into your mouth? The food is really important for the way that your body's reacting. And so when we were talking about diets, I really wanted something that would address like those different concerns that I'm having. So mine's less about weight loss and a bit more about just being healthier in general, I would say.
What I really like about this diet concept, that it's not about what you eat, although we will be showing you what we eat. So if you follow us on Instagram, we are going to be posting in our stories every single day showing you guys what we eat, but that's not really the point of all of this. This diet's really around how you eat. It's a completely different mindset. It's about creating those habits. It's about a different way of eating, and it's about actually setting yourself up so that you eat differently for the rest of your life.
Much more of a lifestyle change than just like something that we're gonna do for a month.
So check out the description box down below. There is a freebie in there for you guys. You can download it directly, and it's gonna have a summary of everything we talk about in this video, all of the principles that we are going to follow for the next month, so that you can follow along too if you like. And without further ado, let's get into the Parisian diet.
So principle number 1, I would say, is probably the most important one, because it's all about portion control. So as Rosie was just saying, the idea is not to cut everything out of our diet, like no eating carbs or no eating pastries, or I mean, that's not going to happen, especially in France. So the idea is just that you're more restrictive on how much you're eating.
Parisians, I've noticed, will eat a bigger lunch and then a much smaller dinner. So they can easily have just like a small soup or a salad or something a bit light in the evenings, which I think is probably the right way round.
One of the things that we're really going to do is be using smaller dinner plates as a constructive way of like putting food, a normal amount of food on our plate. So if you're worried about cutting down on a bit of food and wondering like, are you going to be hungry? One of the things that we really notice is how much time French people take while they're eating. So they're not rushing through meals. You need to take time, you need to chew slowly, you need to let your body process the fact that you're eating so that you have time to get full. What happens to me all the time, I stuff myself really quick and then I realize that I've eaten too much, but it's too late to go back.
They'll eat for maybe a few minutes, they'll stop, they'll chat, they'll take their time. I mean, they say it takes 20 minutes for your brain to register that it's eating and has eaten. So it kind of makes sense.
Obviously, when we talk about portion controls, I don't know about New Zealand, but in the US, the portion sizes that you get at restaurants or when you're being served food is nothing like the portion sizes that you get here. But that doesn't mean that the French don't like to indulge. They have dessert here all the time, which is not something that I'm used to where I grew up. And so one of the things that's really easy to do is if someone's giving you a dessert for the second time that day, cut it in half, share with someone, and eat half of it.
That's the classic Parisian girl to me. Like, she'll have a beautiful pastry or cake or something on her plate, and she'll be able to eat a third of it and stop.
Yeah.
She wanted the taste, she wanted to indulge, and she's enjoyed it, and her brain is satisfied, and she's moving on.
Impressive, let me tell you.
Yeah, that's very impressive, whereas I'm like, inhale. You can have a few desserts per week, you know, we're not like completely no sugar or whatever, but it's, you know, you do need the full cake. You know? Can you put a little bit of Nutella on your bread every single morning rather than eating a jar on a Saturday night? Like, it's about balance.
I think one of the worst things that I do as well is eating while I'm distracted. It's really hard to do portion control when you eat out of a bag in front of the television or when you eat while you're on the move. Rosie and I are really bad about grabbing Starbucks before we go to the office and walking and chatting and stuffing muffins in our face as we're walking down the street, and that's not a good way to eat. You really sit down for your meal and you concentrate on what you're eating or the person in front of you in order to stick to the portion size that you want.
Totally. Blanket rule, the French eat meals at the table. It's really about being conscious that you're eating, unlike when you're watching series and you look down and you're like, oh, am I finished already?
Hey, all those Cheetos?
Oh, okay. So principle number 2 is pretty easy to explain, less easy to do, execute. So it's really about no snacking. So something that shocked me when I arrived in France, I don't know if you felt the same, but like they're very strict around meal times. Like, it's breakfast, lunch, and dinner. There's no such thing as like late night snacking, like the midnight snack and that kind of thing. If they snack, it's around, you know, like late afternoon, 4 or 5 p.m. It's called the goûter, and they'll have a piece of fruit or some nuts or something like that. And so what they'll do is they'll eat like fully satisfying meals, so like a full lunch, and the lunch may be, you know, like a chicken breast and vegetables. Like, it's quite substantial. It's more than enough to keep them going.
So principle 3 is one that's going to be a little bit more difficult for me. I'm not sure about you, but it's cooking at home. So my husband and I are not very big on restaurants, which is kind of funny because we live in a great neighborhood with lots of really cool places to eat out, but we are absolute fans of delivering our food at home, and I do it way too much. So as he said with this diet, it's really important to understand what you're actually eating, and if you're not preparing the food yourself, you don't actually know what's in your food.
I feel like there's a lot of, in the French culture, there's a lot of pleasure in like shopping for like fresh produce and cooking nice meals and sauces and things like that from scratch, like not buying bottled sauces. And there's definitely a pleasure around food preparation, as well as, you know, taking the time to slowly enjoy and eat it. So it's an important part of the culture, I think, to try and cook at home. So for the sake of this diet, we've given ourselves a maximum, which is like eating out twice per week. So that may mean like brunch with a friend, or it may mean like getting Deliveroo.
Exactly.
They're very good at sort of regulating themselves. So if they do go out and they have like a big brunch on Sunday, for example, they have a very light dinner that evening, and then Monday it's straight back to it.
My problem is sometimes when I have a cheat day, then I'm just like, oh, screw it. That means Monday's a cheat day, Tuesday's a cheat day, Wednesday, and I go like,
the week is over.
It's gone downhill.
But then it's not like that. They're very, they
have their moments.
Yeah,
they have a cheat moment, and then that's a moment, and you move on, and you don't do the same thing the next day.
All right, so principle number 4 is around what you drink. It's going to be pretty simple. Water and wine. Cutting out like sodas, fruit juice, and beer. The inspiration for this came from the fact that whenever I go out with Parisians, the waiter's asking, you know, what would you like to drink? Like, especially at lunchtime, and like in the evening they maybe take some wine or whatever. But at lunchtime it's like, what would you like to drink? We've got these lovely juices, we've got smoothies, we've got this, and they're always like,
Tap water.
Just water, please. They're
Yeah.
so self-controlled.
Like, what?
And I'm like, they've got milkshakes? But like, no one will order a milkshake. Like, that never happens.
I'm a big Coke Zero fan, which is a problem, I know, but I do drink a lot of Coke, so that's gonna be a little bit hard for me, I think, to cut out. And so my idea in my head is, okay, you can have like Perrier or like San Pellegrino or sparkling water that gives you a bit of that carbonation. And if really you're looking for something sweet, add a bit of like syrup. You know, the French really love like their different flavors of syrup.
True.
So I could just add a little like drop of that into water, and that should be like my go-to drink if I really need something sugary, because otherwise you just really don't see it.
No.
So our final principle is about exercise, and I am a very typical American when it comes to exercise. So if I'm on an exercise kick, I am going to the gym 5 to 6 days a week for an hour. And I've noticed that French people don't function like that around sports. It's not like this ever compensating, taking over their life every day type of thing. They tend to go like once or twice a week. They do a bar class, they do yoga, they do like gym suédoise. So we've decided, like, in order during this diet is we're not gonna go to the gym 6 days a week. The gym is something that we should do once or twice a week. And then on top of that, you should just be trying to walk everywhere.
Exactly, Parisian style. So something concrete that I'm going to do is try and walk to work at least 5 times a week. So that's something that I've got in mind. It's about a 45-minute walk. And then, yeah, maybe go to the gym once or twice on top of that. So those are our 5 principles. That's the Parisian diet. Who knows what's going to happen? Taking extensive measurements, weight, actually like measuring tape, you know, body, that kind of thing. We're going to keep journals around how we're feeling, and we're going to be checking in, and we're going to be back here on YouTube, and we're going to give you guys, you know, what happened, the results of all of this.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. You know, follow us on Instagram. We're going to be posting very regularly about what we're doing, how we're feeling, you know, what we're eating, all of that kind of stuff. Don't forget to download your freebie down below in the description box as well that Kate has prepared for you, so that you can grab those principles as well if you want a copy of them. Let's see if the cliche is true. Let's see if it helped. We'll think of you when we're eating half a cake. Cool. A bientôt.
A bientôt.
See you guys next time. Bye.